It all started on the worst Monday morning of my life. Just another gray day, standing at the bus stop, trying to avoid eye contact. Rain was dripping, cars were splashing. Totally normal. Then it happened. The sky didn't just darken, it turned a sickly shade of purple. A sound, like a ripping cloth but 1,000 times louder, echoed everywhere. People screamed, running for cover. A weird, glowing symbol pulsed high above the city, like a crack opening up. My head started spinning, and my hand felt strangely warm. I looked up just as the purple ripped wider, revealing not blue sky, but nothingness, and something was starting to crawl out. Follow for episode 2. What crawled out wasn't like anything I'd ever seen in books or movies. It was a tangle of shadows and sharp angles, shifting and clicking, dripping that same purple light. It floated down, silent and terrifying, heading straight for the street below. Panic was absolute now. Cars were crashing, people were trampling each other to get away. And that warmth in my hand, it intensified, spreading up my arm like a burning current. I instinctively clenched my fist, and a faint, blue light sparked from my fingertips. The shadow thing tilted its angular head, its form seeming to focus on me through the chaos. It wasn't attacking randomly, it was coming for me. Follow for episode 3. It knew, that shadow thing, it knew I was the one causing the light. It moved faster now, that clicking noise growing louder, closer. The crowd scattered away from it, creating a terrifyingly empty space between us. My hand felt like it was on fire now, and the blue light wasn't just sparking, it was starting to swirl, forming a faint shape in my grip. It looked like a hilt. The monster lunged, a sharp, dark appendage extending towards me. I had no time to think, I just swung my glowing hand forward. And as the blue light solidified into something sharp and gleaming, a whisper echoed in my mind, a voice that wasn't mine, saying, "Kill, follow for episode 4. Kill me. I'd never even been in a fight, and this thing was straight out of a nightmare. But the command wasn't just in my head, it felt like it was vibrating through my very bones. The blue blade, now fully formed and humming with power, felt strangely natural in my hand. The shadow monster recoiled slightly as the blade appeared, a high-pitched screech tearing from its form. It seemed surprised, maybe even fearful. That brief hesitation was all I had. Adrenaline flooded my system. I didn't know what I was doing, but I tightened my grip on the glowing blade and got ready for the impossible fight. The monster lunged again, its form less a tangle now, more a focused, predatory shape. And I swung. Follow for episode 5. My swing wasn't clean, wasn't practiced, it was just desperate. But the blue blade didn't care. It sliced through the shadowy appendage like paper, and the monster shrieked. A sound like nails on a chalkboard amplified 1,000,000 times. The cut part dissolved into purple smoke, and the monster stumbled back, its form flickering wildly. I stood there, breathing heavily, the blade still humming in my hand, the voice inside my head silent for a moment. I actually hit it. I actually heard it. But the monster didn't dissipate. Instead, it regenerated the lost part almost instantly, and its remaining eye-like points of light narrowed, focusing on the blade, then on me. It wasn't just angry now, it was furious. And then the sky above. The rip started glowing brighter, and more shadows, smaller ones, began to pour out like malignant rain. Follow for episode 6. More of them, not just one giant nightmare, but dozens of smaller, faster ones, dropping onto the street, onto cars, onto buildings. They looked like twisted spiders made of shadow, skittering with disturbing speed. The main monster let out another ear-splitting shriek and pointed a jagged limb towards me. The spider shadows understood. They all turned and began rushing towards my position. I was surrounded, the rain-slicked street becoming a battlefield. The blue blade felt heavier now, pulsing with the same frantic energy as my heart. The voice returned, clearer this time, a low, urgent whisper. "Run! You cannot fight them all, not yet!" Run, but where? They were everywhere, closing in fast. Follow for episode 7. Run! The spider shadows were already practically on top of me, their little clicking noises a horrifying symphony. I slashed the blue blade wildly, cutting through the first few, but more just kept coming. their forms dissolving into smoke only to be replaced by others right behind them. The main monster was starting to advance again, its large form blocking the street. I was trapped. The voice in my head grew frantic. Find shelter, a building, anywhere away from the open. They are weak in enclosed spaces. Weak in enclosed spaces. It was a desperate gamble, but my only chance. I turned and sprinted towards the nearest doorway, a boarded-up shop, the spider shadows swarming at my heels, the giant monster's shadow falling over me. Would I make it? Follow for episode 8. I threw my shoulder against the old wooden door of the shop. It groaned, splintered, but held firm. The spider shadows were right behind me, their clicking echoing terrifyingly close. Adrenaline surged. I kicked at the door with all my might. It burst inward with a crash, sending rotten wood flying. I stumbled inside, slamming the door shut behind me, hearing the scrabbling, frustrated sounds of the shadows outside. It was dark, dusty, filled with the smell of decay. Through the grime-covered windows, I could see the smaller shadows recoiling from the glass, hesitant to approach the building. The giant monster seemed to be waiting outside, its dark form looming. It worked. The blade was right. I leaned against the door, gasping for breath, the blue light of the blade dimming slightly in the darkness. Then, a new whisper, not from the blade, but from the back of the shop. "Who's there?" Follow for episode 9. Who's there? My heart leaped into my throat, even faster than when I was running from the shadows. I wasn't alone. Hello? I stammered, raising the blue blade slightly, its faint glow casting eerie shadows in the dusty room. A figure slowly emerged from the deeper darkness near what looked like an old counter. They were tall, cloaked, and carried another glowing weapon, not a blade like mine, but a staff crackling with green energy. You have a fragment," the figure said, their voice low and cautious, not hostile but wary. A fragment? Was that what the blade was? Before I could ask, the ground outside shook. The giant shadow monster was slamming against the building, the old structure groaning under the impact. The figure looked towards the door, then back at me, their eyes, visible only as pinpricks of light under the hood, intense. "We need to move. Now, follow for episode 10. Move where? The building was shaking apart, dust raining down from the ceiling. The other figure, the one with the green staff, grabbed my arm. Their grip was surprisingly strong. "Follow me," they said, already moving towards a dark hallway at the back of the shop. "There's an old service tunnel. It might get us away from here." A service tunnel? It sounded crazy, but staying here meant getting crushed by a giant shadow monster. I didn't hesitate. I followed, the blue blade humming in my free hand, the green staff casting flickering light ahead. Behind us, the main room echoed with the sounds of destruction as the monster continued its assault. We ran down the narrow, dark tunnel, the air thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. Just as we reached a turn, a section of the ceiling above us collapsed with a roar, blocking the path behind us completely. We were cut off, but safe. For now, the figure stopped, turning to face me fully. "Okay," they said, pulling down their hood. "My name is Anya, and that sword you're holding, it's a fragment of the world blade. Follow for episode 11. A fragment of the world blade?" I repeated, the name sounding ancient and powerful. Anya nodded, pushing a stray strand of dark hair out of her face. Her eyes were sharp, observant. "Yes, there were originally 12. Powerful artifacts created long ago to fight. Well, things like that." She gestured back towards the collapsed entrance. "The sky cracking, the shadows. This is an incursion. They're coming from another dimension." Another dimension. This was getting crazier by the second. "But, why me? How did I get this?" I asked, looking at the blue blade still glowing faintly. Anya's expression turned serious. "The fragments choose their wielder, and they usually choose someone with a latent connection. You're probably a descendant." A descendant? Before I could ask what that meant, Anya held up a hand, silencing me. "Listen." From deeper within the tunnel, a low, guttural growl echoed. We weren't alone down here. Follow for episode 12. That growl, it wasn't like the clicking of the spider shadows or the shriek of the giant monster. This was organic. Something living and likely hostile was down here with us in the dark. Anya immediately raised her green staff, its light intensifying, casting longer shadows that danced unnervingly. "Stay close," she whispered, her voice tense. "The tunnel system is old. Sometimes things get trapped down here." Things. What kind of things? We moved slowly, cautiously, deeper into the tunnel, the growling growing louder, closer. It sounded big. The air felt heavy, thick with a strange, earthy smell. We turned a corner, and the tunnel opened slightly into a wider chamber. And there it was. A creature with chitinous armor, multiple glowing eyes and razor-sharp claws, blocking the path forward. It lowered its head and let out another deafening roar. Follow for episode 13. That roar wasn't just loud, it felt like it vibrated the very stone of the tunnel. The chitinous creature lunged, its claws scraping against the ground, sending sparks flying. Anya reacted instantly, raising her green staff. A blast of crackling energy shot out, hitting the creature in the chest. It stumbled back with a pained hiss, but the energy seemed to dissipate harmlessly off its armor. "Energy attacks are useless," Anya yelled over the creature's furious chittering. "Its hide is too thick. We need physical force." Physical force? That meant the blade. My hand tightened around the blue hilt. The creature recovered quickly and charged again, aiming for Anya. She dodged nimbly, but it was fast, surprisingly fast for its size. I couldn't just stand there. Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward, raising the world blade fragment. The blue light flared, and I swung, aiming for a gap in its armor near its leg. The blade connected with a sickening crunch, and the creature let out a high-pitched screech of pain, turning its many eyes onto me. Follow for episode 14. Its many eyes, glowing with malice, fixated on me. I had its attention now. Anya took the opportunity to blast it with her staff from the side, not for damage, but to distract it. The creature flinched, giving me a precious second. The blade in my hand felt, lighter now, almost guiding my movements. The whisper returned, a calm, confident presence this time. "Strike the joints, they are its weakness." Joints, right. As the creature spun back towards me, I ducked under a swipe of its massive claw and thrust the blue blade upwards, aiming for the connection point of its foreleg. The blade sliced through the joint with unexpected ease, and the creature roared, its leg collapsing beneath it. It crashed to the ground, thrashing violently. Anya landed another energy blast on its head, dazing it. This was our chance. With a final surge of adrenaline, I raised the blade high, its blue light pulsing brightly, and plunged it down towards the creature's main cluster of eyes. Follow for episode 15. The blade sank deep, and the creature let out a final, gurgling shriek before its body went still, dissolving into a pile of black ash that quickly faded away. Silence fell over the tunnel, broken only by our heavy breathing. I stared at the spot where the monster had been, then down at the blue blade in my hand, still glowing faintly. I had killed it, me, a normal high schooler. Anya walked over, her green staff dimming. "You did well," she said, a hint of surprise in her voice. "Most new wielders struggle with something like that." She looked at the blade. "The world blade fragment. It didn't just give you power, it shared skill too. That's rare." Skill. Was that the voice guiding me? "What happens now?" I asked, the reality of what just happened starting to sink in. Anya looked down the tunnel, her expression grim. "Now," she said, "we find a way out of these tunnels, and then we figure out why the incursion is happening and why you were chosen. This is just the beginning." Just the beginning? The thought sent a chill down my spine. Follow for episode 16. Just the beginning. The weight of those words settled heavily on me. The quiet of the tunnel after the fight felt unnerving. "So, what exactly is a descendant?" I asked Anya as we started walking again, deeper into the tunnel system. She sighed. "It's complicated. Basically, descendants are people with ancestral ties to the ancient warriors who originally wielded the world blade fragments. The connection lies dormant for generations, until a fragment appears and awakens it in a suitable person. An ancestral tie. So this power, this blade, was something passed down. And you, are you a descendant too?" I asked. Anya hesitated for a moment. "No, my connection is different. I'm an emissary." part of an organization that monitors dimensional activity and tries to handle incursions when they happen. We've been looking for the lost fragments and potential descendants for a long time. An organization. This was getting bigger than just me and a glowing sword. Just then, we heard a faint sound ahead. Not a growl this time, but something like distant voices. Follow for episode 17. Voices down here? Were there other people trapped in the tunnels? Or something else mimicking human sounds? We exchanged a look, Anya's expression guarded. We approached cautiously, the voices becoming clearer though still muffled. They sounded panicked, like people arguing or yelling in distress. We reached a junction, and the tunnel opened into a larger, echoing chamber. And there, huddled together, were a group of people. They looked like they'd been here a while, dirty and scared. Among them, I recognized a few faces from school, even some from my class. They looked up, startled, as we entered. One girl, Maya, whose locker was near mine, gasped. "You," she cried out, pointing a trembling finger, not at Anya but at me, and more specifically at the blue blade still in my hand. Her eyes were wide with terror. Follow for episode 18. "You," Maya's terrified voice echoed in the chamber. The eyes of the other trapped students turned to me, filled with a mixture of fear and disbelief. It wasn't just the blade, it was me holding it, standing there with Anya, covered in dust from the shop collapse. Anya stepped forward, her staff held loosely. "It's okay," she said, trying to sound reassuring. "We're not going to hurt you. We can help you get out of here." But her words didn't seem to calm them. Maya flinched away. That thing," she stammered, pointing at the blade again. "It appeared when the sky ripped. It's dangerous." Dangerous? It had just saved my life. The voice in my head, the blade itself, stirred a low hum of annoyance. "Ignorance," the whisper said, faint but clear in my mind. "Fear blinds them." Fear was definitely blinding them. They saw the blade as part of the invasion, not the defense. This was a major problem. How could I convince them I was trying to help, when they were terrified of the very thing that gave me the power to do so? Follow for episode 19. We started moving, Anya leading the way, the group of students trailing behind me like a nervous pack. The air in the tunnel grew colder, thicker with damp and decay. Silence hung heavy, broken only by shuffling feet and wary glances towards the blue blade I still carried. Maya looked like she wanted to be anywhere but here. Kenji kept a protective eye on the others. The tunnel began to slope downwards, the path becoming uneven. "Are you sure this is the right way?" someone whispered from the back. "Feels like we're going deeper underground." Anya kept walking. "Trust me," she replied, her voice calm. The tunnel opened up slightly ahead, and our light hit something unexpected. Not stone, but a shimmering, dark surface. It was water. A wide, deep pool blocked the tunnel completely. We stopped at the edge, the students murmuring nervously. Then the water surface rippled. Something large moved just below the surface. Follow for episode 20. The water rippled, not from rain, but from something pushing up from beneath. A collective gasp went through the students behind me. Anya's staff flared, casting light onto the dark surface. The rippling intensified, spreading outwards. Then a single, large, glowing eye broke the surface, followed by more. Dozens of them, blinking slowly in the green light. The water stirred violently, and a massive, scaled head emerged, dripping with murky tunnel water. It was serpent-like, ancient, and its eyes fixed directly on our group. "What is that?" Maya screamed, recoiling. Kenji raised his fists uselessly. The creature let out a low, rumbling hiss that echoed ominously in the chamber. It was blocking the only way forward. The voice of the blade stirred within my mind, not a command, but a low, resonant frequency. "Guardian," it whispered. "Ancient protector of the deep paths." Protector. It looked ready to swallow us whole. The creature opened its massive mouth, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth, and began to rise further from the water, its enormous body threatening to fill the entire chamber. Follow for episode 21. The ancient serpent rose from the water, its massive head towering over us, its glowing eyes fixed on our terrified group. The students screamed, stumbling backward. Kenji pulled Maya behind him. Anya raised her staff defensively, but the creature ignored the energy crackling around it. This thing wasn't like the shadows, it felt elemental, ancient. The blade's whisper was clearer now, calm despite the chaos. Show respect. It guards the path, it seeks balance. Balance? What did that even mean? How do you show respect to a giant, fanged serpent? I lowered the blue blade slightly, a gesture of, what? Peace, appeasement. The creature tilted its head, its many eyes seeming to focus on the blade itself. It let out another rumbling hiss, but it didn't lunge. It seemed to be waiting. Anya looked at me, a question in her eyes. The blade hummed urgently. Offer a sign of trust, a symbol of alignment. Offer, align with it. What could I possibly offer this creature? Follow for episode 22. Offer a sign of trust. The Guardian's many eyes were still locked onto me, or maybe the blade. Anya whispered, "What does it want?" I shook my head, the blade's whisper the only clue. The power, the alignment. Show it you are of this world, not the incursion. My power, the blade. How do I show it I'm aligned with this world? The students behind me were trembling, their fear radiating. This wasn't just about me anymore. I had to do something. I looked at the blade in my hand. Its blue light pulsed gently. It felt like an extension of myself now. I took a deep breath, gathering my courage. I raised the blade slowly, not in a fighting stance, but holding it out horizontally, presenting it towards the massive serpent. It was a gamble. If it saw it as a threat, we were finished. The Guardian's head lowered slightly, its glowing eyes studying the blade. The air grew thick with tension. Then the whisper came, a new command, clear and urgent. Touch the water. Follow for episode 23. Touch the water, I repeated, hesitant. The Guardian's eyes seemed to bore into me. The students behind me were silent, watching with bated breath. Anya looked confused but didn't stop me. Trusting the blade's voice, despite the terrifying situation, felt like the only option. I extended the world blade fragment further, lowering the tip towards the dark surface of the pool. The moment the blue light of the blade touched the water, a ripple of bright blue energy shot across the surface. The water didn't just glow, it seemed to come alive, swirling with light. The Guardian let out a low, resonant sound, not a hiss or a growl, but something deeper, almost pleased. The monstrous form began to sink back into the pool, the glowing eyes disappearing one by one. The water calmed, the blue light fading, leaving only the dark, still surface. The path was clear. We had appeased the Guardian, but what exactly had I done? The blade was silent now, its light returning to a gentle hum. The students behind me let out shaky breaths of relief. Kenji looked at me with newfound, though still cautious, respect. What was that? Maya whispered, her terror replaced by awe. I didn't have an answer. All I knew was that the blade, the world blade fragment, had just saved us again, in a way I never could have predicted. Follow for episode 24. The path was clear, but the silence was unnerving. We quickly moved past the pool, nobody wanting to linger. The students were shaken, their fear replaced by a tense quiet. As we walked, Kenji finally spoke to me directly. That was insane. How did you know what to do? I shrugged, feeling awkward. The blade, it sort of told me. That sounded ridiculous even to my own ears. Anya stepped in. The world blade fragments have a degree of sentience. They guide their wielders, especially new ones, in ways that suit their nature. This Guardian was connected to the natural energy of the tunnels, the deep paths as the blade called them. Your fragment's power, when offered without aggression, likely resonated with it. Resonated? It felt more like performing a weird magic trick for a giant snake. We continued deeper into the tunnel network, the air slowly growing fresher. There was a faint light ahead. Hope surged through the group. We were close to an exit, but as we hurried towards the light, the ground beneath our feet began to tremble. Not a gentle tremor, but a violent shaking that sent dust and small rocks falling from the ceiling. It was getting louder, closer. Follow for episode 25. The path was clear, but the silence was unnerving. We quickly moved past the pool, nobody wanting to linger. The students were shaken, their fear replaced by a tense quiet. As we walked, Kenji finally spoke to me directly. That was Insane, how did you know what to do? I shrugged, feeling awkward. The blade, it sort of told me. That sounded ridiculous even to my own ears. Anya stepped in. The world blade fragments have a degree of sentience. They guide their wielders, especially new ones, in ways that suit their nature. This guardian was connected to the natural energy of the tunnels, the deep paths as the blade called them. Your fragment's power, when offered without aggression, likely resonated with it. Resonated? It felt more like performing a weird magic trick for a giant snake. We continued deeper into the tunnel network, the air slowly growing fresher. There was a faint light ahead. Hope surged through the group. We were close to an exit, but as we hurried towards the light, the ground beneath our feet began to tremble. Not a gentle tremor, but a violent shaking that sent dust and small rocks falling from the ceiling. It was getting louder, closer. Follow for episode 25. The trembling wasn't stopping. It was growing more violent, and the sound, it wasn't like an earthquake. It was a heavy, rhythmic pounding, like something enormous was moving directly above us, shaking the very foundations of the earth. "What is that?" Maya cried, covering her head as dust rained down. Anya's eyes were wide, her face pale. It's too big," she murmured, more to herself than us. The light ahead was closer now, showing the tunnel exit, but the pounding was intensifying, making it hard to even stand. The tunnel walls groaned under the stress. If whatever was up there kept moving like this, the whole tunnel system could collapse. We had to get out, and fast. The students panicked, some pushing forward towards the light, others frozen in fear. The blue blade in my hand pulsed urgently, but the whisper was a chaotic jumble, overwhelmed by the noise and shaking. Whatever this new threat was, it was massive, and it was right above us, threatening to bury us alive. Follow for episode 26. The pounding was deafening now. Dust and debris were falling constantly. The light from the exit felt both impossibly close and impossibly far. We had to cross this shaking ground. Anya yelled over the noise, "Run! Run for the exit! Don't stop!" There was no other option. We broke into a desperate sprint, the students pushing past each other, scrambling towards the light. Every step felt precarious, like the ground might give way at any second. The rhythmic pounding continued, directly above us. Thump, thump, thump. It sounded like the footsteps of a giant. As we neared the exit, the tunnel began to buckle. A section of the ceiling directly behind the lead students collapsed with a roar, sending a wave of dust and debris rushing towards us. "Look out!" Kenji yelled, tackling Maya and another student out of the way just as the wave hit. They were okay, but the path behind us was now partially blocked. We were almost out, but the collapse had slowed the last few students down. And the pounding outside, it suddenly stopped. An ominous silence fell, more terrifying than the noise. Follow for episode 27. The sudden silence was chilling. The pounding had stopped, but the tension was unbearable. We reached the tunnel exit, bursting out into the open air. It was chaos. Buildings were damaged, cars overturned, and a thick purple mist hung in the air, the same color as the sky rip. And standing amidst the destruction, silhouetted against the bruised sky, was the source of the pounding. It was colossal, easily the size of a building, made of jagged stone and pulsing purple energy. It looked vaguely humanoid, but monstrously distorted, its face a blank, terrifying surface. It was completely still, silent, its attention seemingly fixed on something. And then, slowly, ponderously, its massive head began to turn. Its blank face began to glow with a faint, purple light, and it started to lower its gaze, scanning the area. It was looking for us. We were exposed, standing right in its line of sight with no cover, and it was starting to see us. Follow for episode 28. Its glowing gaze swept across the area, getting closer to our position. The students behind me froze, their faces pale with terror. Anya raised her staff, ready, but we all knew a few energy blasts wouldn't do anything to this thing. It was on a different scale entirely. The blue blade in my hand pulsed with a frantic energy, the whisper inside my head returning, loud and clear this time. "Run! You cannot face this. It is a world ender. Flee!" A world ender. The blade, which had guided me through fighting shadows and guardians, was telling me to run. That just showed how powerful this thing was. The Colossus's head stopped turning, its blank, glowing face now aimed directly at our small group. A deep, resonant hum emanated from it, vibrating through the ground. It had found us. It began to raise one of its massive stone arms, preparing to strike. There was no time to hesitate. "Run!" I screamed at the students, shoving the nearest ones to get them moving. Anya was already hurting them, pushing them towards the nearest cover she could see, the remains of a bus. But would we make it before the Colossus brought down its devastating attack? Follow for episode 29. We ran, a desperate scramble for cover, the students screaming, Anya yelling instructions. The Colossus's arm was rising, slow but unstoppable, blotting out the already dark sky. The hum from it intensified, building towards a devastating impact. I glanced back. Maya had stumbled, and Kenji was trying to help her up, but they were too slow. They wouldn't make it to the bus in time. The blade in my hand felt heavy, but also alive, practically vibrating with energy. The whisper was a desperate plea now. "No, do not engage. You are not ready." Not ready, maybe not, but I couldn't just leave them. The Colossus's arm was starting its downward swing, aiming right for Kenji and Maya. Ignoring the blade's warning, ignoring every ounce of common sense, I turned, charging towards them, raising the blue world blade fragment with both hands. Its light flared, brighter than it had ever been, the humming turning into a high-pitched whine. The Colossus's arm was seconds away from impact. There was no time for strategy, no time for skill, only instinct, and the blade's power. With a roar that tore from my own throat, fueled by pure desperation, I swung the blade upwards, directly at the descending, colossal stone fist. Follow for episode 30. My swing met the colossal stone fist with an impact that shook the ground even harder than the Colossus's footsteps. A blinding flash of blue light erupted, engulfing the area. I heard screams, the grinding of stone, and the blade shrieked in my hands, a sound of immense power and strain. For a second, the Colossus's arm was held in place by the sheer force of the blade. The light was blinding. Then, with a deafening crack, the stone fist began to splinter. Cracks spread rapidly across the Colossus's arm, reaching up towards its shoulder. It let out a silent, powerful wave of purple energy, pushing back against the blue light. The force was incredible, slamming me backward. I crashed into the ground, the blade ripped from my grasp, skittering away. The blue light faded, leaving only the purple mist and the groaning of the injured Colossus. Its arm, though damaged, was still attached. It stared down at me, its glowing face now radiating pure, focused rage. I lay there, stunned, bruised, and without the blade, watching as the Whirldender raised its other arm, undamaged and ready to finish me. I had stopped one attack, but I was powerless against the next. This was it. Follow for more such stories.